And we're back. And I have my own Twitch stream open, so that's why you heard my voice coming back on the round 2 here. We've got 2 players that are 1-1. All of our 2-0s either did not want to play on camera or were named Jonathan and Scotty Wright, so... In this game, we're going to feature on the right is Max Turner. He is playing... Oh, Jordan, you know better not. He's playing Pod Deck, isn't he?
Yes, it's Naya Pod. It's actually my deck, and he's retrofitted it. Was an Undying Pod.
Give me the big hitters. What's the...
Well, we're going to hit the top of the chain here. We're going to go Warren Coil.
Okay.
Elchnor.
And so you go to 7 for Norn.
Yes. I'm trying to think what else he fitted out. Geist Honored Monk is a very good one. It leaves 2 1/1 Flying Spirits when it dies.
It's a good value card. You're exactly right.
Vorapede, stuff at the top. Zealous. So you can take their stuff and eat it and chew it. Charles, is that his name? Charles Ellington, Vampires.
Yeah, he's playing Mono Black Vampires.
Yeah, I'm assuming Nocturnus is in there somewhere.
I would have to imagine. I'm not in any way familiar with his deck. I actually am not sure. Has Charles played here before?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So we're going to see a Razorverse? Okay.
Yeah, Max has obviously won the die roll. Yeah. You playing Mana Elves in that deck?
Yes, I was actually just about to say that. He missed out on his Mana Door, so we're not going to see a turn 2 pod.
Did he not play a second land either?
I'm not sure what just happened.
I think Max has kept a sketchy one.
That's to say the least, and he's ready for the internet to see.
And is being punished for his due negligence.
I'll be the first to say, never keep a 1-land hand.
Drops Max to 19.
He's discarding. This is a bad sign. But he does have an Elvish Visionary, so as soon as he hits that next land, he can dig.
As soon as he hits the next land, he'll still only be 3 turns behind.
That's true.
And what's that? Is that Markov Patrician? 3/1 lifelink? Is that correct?
Yes. Oh, here we go.
There it is.
A few turns late to the party, Elvish Visionary comes in, and he's going to lose 2 life off the Bloodseekers, or...
I get it!
Max is gaming the system because he knows if he yells loud enough, it will show up on the screen. And people wonder why I mute the webcam. Is that a Chalice of Life?
Yes. That's an interesting play. So he's going to go to 21. I guess with the Patrician. And he's going to...
gain 3 from that. Max is going to lose 1. Down to 14. Smells like a Blaze Splicer. Nope.
Oh, it's a Borderland. He's going to make up for that land loss.
Of course it is. How foolish am I to think?
He's actually going to play a card that might take over the game.
No, he has to play something to dig out of the 18 turns he lost by keeping a 1-lander. Max Turner is too good at Magic to have kept that.
True. Which means it must have been that much better. Did you note the loss from the Seekers? The Borderland hit it.
So Max is at 12, victim of the night.
Yes.
Goes down to 10. Off of some very industrious Bloodseekers.
4 land. What are we going to see here? He's got a Metamorph. That is a good question. I believe it would, because the Metamorph's going to enter and be a creature, and it's going to have entered the battlefield, and then you choose. Is that correct?
Jordan, this question is is firmly outside of my pay grade when it comes to Magic rules knowledge. Here's what I know. Phyrexian Metamorph is a Magic card.
Yes.
It does some things, and I have no idea how the interaction works out. I think it is an artifact creature regardless. So he's going to go down to 8, and he makes a chalice, but then he goes down to 6.
Yes. And then he goes back up to 7 by tapping that chalice and gaining life. I'd like to say right now, I feel that's a desperate move. When you're going to metamorph a chalice.
Every Bloodseeker in the world coming into play.
Yes, they're seeking something. It's death, blood.
If Maxx doesn't play a creature now, or somehow gain life, he's in an awkward situation where any creature he plays is going to kill him. Maxx is really up against it here. The birthing pod is basically useless at this point because he's never going to have the 6 mana he needs to.
Or he's going to play a pod, gain a life.
Are there Huntmasters in this deck?
Yes, there are, and I was actually going to say that if he Huntmastered,
that's what he needs.
He'd only lose 1 life. Like a Huntmaster.
Bonfires?
There's a Thragtusk. Yeah.
There they are. You see? Okay. Documented on camera. Every Bloodseeker in a Tri-County area is now
on the field.
board.
If he plays another, we know he's cheating.
That's an excellent. That's a pro play right there.
Yeah.
Everyone listening at home, that's your pro tip of the day.
And here comes a Thragtusk. I hope to God it's a Thragtusk.
Up to 4 off the chalice. Up to 9 off.
Gonna gain 1.
Thragtuskerson. Lose 4 off the triggers. He's down to 5. But more importantly, he has a blocker.
That will net him a beast, and he's going to pod that out, and I'm almost going to bet, into a Wormcoil. That'd be a good bet, wouldn't you say?
At this point, I'm pretty sure that if he pods that out into a Wormcoil, he loses the game.
This is true. He'd lose 4 life.
I'm trying to figure out a scenario in which Maxx doesn't burn those guys out, in which he can win this game. His life is effectively at 1.
Well, the deck does run Whip Flares, and I'm not sure if he runs them mainboard. Then again, I would have hoped he would have played it a lot earlier than this point, if he had it.
I would imagine that if he had Whip Flare, he would not put Whip Flare in the main deck, with a deck full of 1 mana.
It's true.
1-drop mana creatures. And that's all she wrote.
A Victim of the Night. And then, that's sad because the Beast enters. And then it hurts him.
The Beast actually does... Now, the Beast doesn't kill him. Beast would drop him to 1.
But the Bloodseekers would.
The entire team. the whole football team shows up and runs roughshod. There you go.
And now those Whip Flares are definitely going in the deck. And see, the reason they were prior was I did not typically run that many mana dorks. He upped it to at least 8, I believe.
Well, that's a good point, probably, to discuss what the metagame is at our shop. Obviously, Charleston, West Virginia, despite being the largest city in the state, still only has 55 to 60,000 people.
Yes.
It's a relatively small Magic community. I would think a healthy one. But I would say that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I would say that in this room right now, there are 20 people playing this FNM. That's what JB said. I'd say there's probably a half dozen real Tier 1 decks.
Yes.
Maybe half. I'd say that, at least half the field is more of a casual homebrew type of deck. Not unlike Charles, which is not to say that there's anything wrong with decks that don't appear in the top 8 list of every Star City Games event, but you are going to see that kind of variety, and you do have to kind of factor that into your deck construction and your play.
And it's actually something I say a lot when people start building their first Magic decks for competitive play. They like to look at it very at situational points of the game, such as this card will do this at X point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But they seem to look over that how many times are you going to reach that point? Especially with a variety of decks. Like,
case in point, every creature that costs 8. Yes, in a world where you get to cast that 8-drop, that's fine, but you were dead on turn 5, so
Yeah.
Also, you have to remember that Magic is a two-person game, and there's someone sitting across the table from you whose main task is to interact with you in such a way that you do not get to do whatever you want to do. In fact, they're trying to win.
Unless there's some odd person into losing, into charity of sorts.
There's got to be one. The man, the myth, the legend, local legend, Dave Brown, once registered for FNM, then immediately dropped, simply so he could have the record for earliest drop during a sanctioned Magic tournament. It was worth his $5, he said, to have the record.
Now here's a good play. He's got 2 men on turn 1. He's far and above beyond what he was last game. At 1 man after 4 turns.
Yeah. And all joking aside, that's obviously the best start that the pod deck can hope for.
And it's just going to get better.
Now he has there's a Borderland Ranger in his hand. Is there a Blades Placer too?
I cannot tell.
I'm very curious as to why he wanted to go. I guess he's going to play the Ranger and immediately pot it out for a 4-drop.
Yes, he is.
Seems fine. Of course, you could have done that this turn as well, and attacked with the Borderland Ranger. But what do I know? I don't play Standard.
I don't know. There's a Bloodseeker on that other end.
Yeah,
And it can turn nasty very quick, as we saw last game, where you end up with a team of Bloodseekers.
So he's going to drop to 18 off Bloodseeker triggers.
He also lost 2 life off the pod.
He did. He lost 4 life off the pod, didn't he?
Yes. He's running a risky gamut, but I think he's going to gain
14?
it back. Huntmaster.
No, he's fine. At this point, he's so far ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Not just compared to last game, but compared to any game. He's going to go chain his Huntmaster into his Thragtusk into his Wormcoil Engine. I don't think this game is long for... is that foil?
Yes, it is a foil pact. Well,
A
it
foil?
will only be packed. A foil Huntmaster, yes.
What the heck is a foil pact?
We're not going to get into
Future Sight
details.
Are you trying to say that was a foil that you got out of a pack?
Yes, it was a very exciting day.
I can only imagine. He's going to lose one off that blood. And Bloodseeker is getting work done.
I don't think it's ever done.
Is he playing Blood Artist as well? Is Blood Artist Vampire?
Yes. With Vampire Nocturnus, it can actually do stuff other than
Blood
kill
Artist,
you.
Blood Artist has to be, at least in the current Standard metagame, as we see a Child of Night interplay.
He's not a Blood Artist.
Blood Artist has to be one of the most powerful yet seemingly innocuous cards.
Yes. And there's a second Huntmaster.
And he's chaining Huntmaster, so he's going to gain 1.
And yes, I will
Lose
go back
one
to that.
off
It is, and it's what makes zombies just go right over the top, if anyone has viewed them before. Being able to not have to interact with your opponent's board and simply trigger...
Well, it makes racing very difficult for any of the aggressive decks.
Yes.
And so many decks these days, especially these green-white and Naya-based decks, they're not playing any hard removal. They're playing bonfires, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a arc trail or pillar of flame to be seen in a lot of these main boards, so very difficult card to deal with. A Child of Night is a 2-1 lifelink.
Yes. And he's going to gain some life off.
He's going to trade with the Wolf.
Now, what would really suck is that Charles passed the turn here and didn't do anything.
He's going to flip 2 Huntmasters, kill his Bloodseeker.
Victor of the Night. Okay. Which is an... Well, you can't Victor of the Night to
He
the Huntmaster.
is he? Oh, he's a werewolf when he's unflipped as
Yes.
well. Is he werewolf on both sides?
All werewolves are werewolves on both sides.
And Victim of the Night does not affect regular wolves, which is, I think, an interesting thematic in a Strahd block.
So he's going to pass the turn,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to shoot both of those vampires dead on spot and deal 4 directly to Charles.
Choosing at this point to get more value out of those 4/4s than to chain one of them up into Thragtusk. I mean, he's at 15 life here. There's really no reason to. He's in.
And with an
nowhere
active
close
birthing pod,
He's nowhere close to the situation he was in last time.
there's
Is that a
blood-
Bloodline Keeper?
I would say so. Yes. Hopefully it's not a chosen of mark. which is a
Charles made a very simple decision. He said, if you get to play with a checklist card, I'm going to as well.
And here, Maxx is just going to go straight for the attack. I think Charles is going to take it. Take 8. Mimic that.
My favorite card in Standard. Is there? You cannot argue with me about a deck that should not be playing one Mimic that. It's not like he needs it to win this game, but whether it's an Esper Control or Solar Flare or any of the aggro-based decks, especially a deck with Birthing Pod. So he chained into another...
Well, I would just like to explain what just happened. He lays a Mimic Bat, lays a Blade Splicer, flips his Huntmasters, get 2 Wolves, get a Golem, get a Blade Splicer, and a Mimic Bat, so if anything dies, it's going to go into that bat, by the way.
What you're telling me is this is good.
Some might say that is good, because...
Is it a stuffy doll?
Yes, it is a stuffy doll.
Attention, the internet. We have a stuffy doll sighting?
I'm hoping you chose the right target. I hope you chose Maxx.
I'm going to be entirely honest with you. I don't know if I could quote to you the text that's on a stuffy doll card. I know that it does 1 damage to itself, and then does damage that it deals to itself is dealt to target player.
Yes.
Is it all damage?
All damage that is dealt to that creature will be dealt to the player. So, for instance, if something does not have trample and attacks and is blocked by Stuffy Doll is indestructible. Will absorb all that damage and spit it back at you. And here's what I think is going to be the best place. If you just you can attack in with the team, and then let his Huntmasters just flip and shoot that board.
Could he not just pod his Huntmaster away, get a 5-drop, the next turn get in front of Titan and just win the game?
The question is if the deck runs Titan.
Is there an Inferno Titan in the deck?
Not in my original build.
That is a perfectly valid reason. But he did decide to get rid of it. I can only imagine this is a Thragtusk. Because when he inevitably gets Thragtusk under the Mimic Vat, there's no way that Charles can win.
Well, there's also Wolfir Silverheart.
Yeah, that can't be right. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Silverheart? But what I do like is having that little Huntmaster under the Mimic Vat, just getting to throw it in there, get a 2/2 Wolf and gain 2 life for 2 mana.
Tell me, Mimic Vat is the most underrated card. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know anything about Magic. I'm not going to pretend like I'm any good at this game. Well, that's probably a little bit hyperbole. I will tell you this. Mimic Vat is a heck of a card. I have never, to this date, I have never once passed it in my cube. Which is probably the sign of some suboptimal cube choices, but...
Well, it's a very fun card to play with, and it's a very good card to play with.
As the kids would say, it's the bullet train to Value Town, is what Mimic Vat is.
Yes.
There's never a situation... What deck should play Mimic Vat? Do you have a deck that kills creatures? You should play Mimic Vat. Do you have a deck that has creatures that die? You should play Mimic Vat.
Well...
That's the only 2 kinds of decks you can have.
This is true.
We're not playing in a format like Modern these days where you can play creatureless decks. Combo is
I would like to correct you.
Not a factor.
As a Trading Post player.
No. It makes goats. You can't put a goat token on it.
You don't need the goats to win.
And in that, we have identified the fatal flaw of Trading Post of Mimic Vat as a card, that you cannot get goat tokens underneath it. Well, while we were singing the praises of Mimic Vat as a Magic card, Maxx draw is even in this round. Moving to our decisive Game 3. Is it first Game 3 of the night?
Yes, as far as I can tell. Every other game is not a blowout, but one-sided.
Now joined in the booth by last week's FNM winner, playing Goblins, my hero, Joseph Deal.
Hey guys, how's it doing?
How's it doing? How is it doing? How are you doing? I know you started off rough.
Yeah.
Did you get one back for the good in that round?
Well, I was going 0-2, and I just had this perfect dream hand last turn It curved perfectly. Had a Goblin War Driver, a Spike Shot Elder, Chieftain, and a Krinko. 3 lands. And
Did you draw
it
the
was,
4?
Yes.
There you go.
And it was a Zendikar land. Just so you know.
Joseph. That's an excellent segue into the question I've asked everyone who's come in here, mostly uninvited, and sat in that chair and started talking. You're not guilty of this, but I will ask you the same question. Basic lands in your decks. How do you pick them?
Well, I usually start off with mountains. I mean...
Okay. See where you're going here.
I think the question...
That's not entirely what I was going for.
Well,
although I appreciate the fact that it is a mountain.
Do you like to pimp out your lands? Would be more the question.
I do enjoy pimp lands, and it is good, but I do not make a deck based on my pimp lands. If I have pimp lands for the deck, I have them. And I will trade for pimp lands. And just so you know, I will trade for them, only value them at 50 cents a piece for you viewers at home. So do not expect too much cash.
I like how you've come in and within 2 minutes you've monopolized this broadcast as a trading forum for your...
I feel like we're going to see a rerun here. Maybe? Turn 2 something that should be turn 3.
To be fair, Max's Game 1 performance was slightly below. That's an excellent play. It's dead weight. The card many
That bird was dragged down by the weight.
Dead weight was played a lot in when Solar Flare decks were popular right after States last year. You can recur it. It is an enchantment. You can recur it with Sun Titan. There's yet another Bloodseeker.
Mimic that, ooh.
Like a boss. That's what the kids would say, and that's what I say. Mimic that makes a turn 3 appearance, rather. I'm going to tell you, there's not a card in Max's deck.
What is he?
It's the Chalice.
Okay. I was going to say, Bloodline Keeper is not 3, to my knowledge.
That is correct.
Alright, 4 lands. We're going to see some
Charles
goodness here.
likes him some life.
I want to see a Solemn.
I have no idea what they're called.
That is a Thundering Pteranodon.
Yes.
It's from New Phyrexia. Costs 2 Phyrexian green
It's the
and
5/4
4...
Trampler.
Yeah.
Now here's
Max
the trick.
was...
So he's at
No.
So he's at 15 after that because he's going to pay 4 life for the Phyrexian mana.
Here's the trick that the deck tries to pull. You turn 4, Pteranodon or whatever its name is. You get the pot out. You go straight for Norn. And on... I don't care what you're playing.
You know, that's a very interesting. I did not in any way recognize that.
This is actually
until
Max's
you just
innovation.
told me. It goes straight from 4 to 7.
Yes, because it technically costs 6. You pay 4.
Well, he's not doing that.
He's gonna whip flare.
Whip it.
Whip it good.
Whip it good. Like a boss.
Side note, another reason why people should come and visit lovely Charleston, West Virginia. Did you know that we had not one but 2 competitive women's roller derby teams?
No, I did not.
Heart of Appalachia roller girls and Chemical Valley roller girls.
I knew the Chemical Valley roller girls. I knew them.
We are affiliated with Heart of Appalachia, so I'm going to let that slide. Back to more pressing matters.
There's the planes. And an Elvish Visionary? Yes.
Yeah.
That thing better go under the Mimic Badge. All these enter the battlefield effects.
What is under the Mimic Badge? The
Yeah.
Bloodseeker?
It is not the Bloodseekers. Actually, the Vampires with Bloodthirst 2, I believe, that have Life Ink. And there's a Nighthawk.
Nighthawk could be really good in this spot if it wasn't for the Mimic Vat. Mimic Vat will cause some problems. Vampire Nighthawk has to be the best reprint in M13. I don't really think the metagame allows it to be as good as it used to be. I think it's just too aggressive now for that card to be. I just don't think the black decks are strong enough to take over, but...
Oh. And if we can just hear over the border Max saying, "Give me that Nighthawk."
No.
Yes, don't put it in your graveyard.
No, my friends. You do not get to bury that in your own graveyard. That card is mine now.
She is now damned to an eternal hell under my service.
You know, and not to talk too much about strategy points that good players probably already know about, but I mean, the Mimic Vat turns off all the Undying creatures. It turns off Strangleroot Geist, it turns off Cheryl's Messenger. You can stick a Gravecrawler under there and really disrupt a lot of decks. As a side note, I mean, that's just a fringe benefit of a card that you're not really playing for that. No one is playing Mimic Vat as a sorcery speed 3 cost surgical extraction that only works once and only if they've already something dies in the process. It's a solid card. Do you play Mimic Vat in your cube?
No, I do not. I need to. I never realized that.
I got one. You can have it.
Uh-oh.
I've never passed it. I have pack one, picked one, Mimic Vat numerous times. You stay open, you're gonna play it whatever deck.
Now, I think Maxx is gonna...
I'm gonna tell you right now, this game is basically over. I think this game's been over since Maxx played the Mimic Vat in turn 3, but I'm not sure exactly what high-end Charles is playing, but
Well,
it'll be very difficult.
Nocturnus, Line Keeper, but they're not going to be able to pull the weight.
Yeah, Nocturnus isn't going to do it here. But Line Keeper's not going to do it here. Did he copy, the Metamorph is a copy of Nighthawk, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
You know what's fun to have under a Mimic Vat? Metamorph.
Oh, yeah. I can tell from experience. It was very fun to have Metamorphs
Did you
under.
play Mimic Vats in your Trading Post deck?
No, I did not. I did not play it long enough to utilize it.
Seems like you might think about that in the future. In the future being what, like a month? When does Standard rotate?
Standard
October.
rotates
October?
October 5th, I believe.
Yes.
It's a good day.
It is.
Day of my birth. What a gift. I might,
You
when
will...
these Ravnica cards come out, I might even sleeve up a Standard deck.
Oh.
Is Show and Tell
Well-
legal in Standard?
Not that I know of, but
Then I probably won't, but...
JB did offer 40 Goblin Guides and 20 Mountains for you if you wanted to play in Standard.
The only thing better than a Goblin Guide is 4 Goblin Guides.
I personally am just stoked for Ravnica. I know.
I don't think there's a single educated Magic fan, and when I say educated, I mean someone who is familiar with the first Ravnica,
Yes.
who's not pretty excited about the return of that block. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that the Shocklands are coming back. I think that's really going to impact the accessibility to Modern. I think that's going to lead to a lot of fun eternal play that might not otherwise. Well, there's a card. It's Curse of Death's Hold.
Well, that 3/3 Golem's going to stick around as a 2/2.
It might be a little bit too late, but it will make that Nighthawk 1.
What is Charles Ellington's life at?
Wormcoil Engine, I think.
Wormcoil Engine. His
Now-
life is a Wormcoil Engine.
Oh.
Now,
I'm not sure. I lost track of it.
that Curse of Death's Hold makes that a 5/5 Wormcoil Engine. But does that really matter? 5/5 or 6/6, it's going to split your life into pieces, and it'll split itself.
At this point, Charles is in the most dire of circumstances because he's playing the Devil's Gambit.
Tapping out.
Bloodlord, I believe. Bloodlord
Yes.
of Vaskoth.
Non-bloodthirsted.
I don't think...
This is the cruel portion of the game where Charles realizes
He's going to
the worst thing that can happen is I kill that Wormcoil Engine.
And then he
Because
has...
he's just going to get it on the thing, and he will get the tokens every time it dies. I mean, I think it's all over with the shouting here.
I'm pretty sure if he has the Metamorph, he just made another Wormcoil. Anyways. I'm almost certain of it.
Tokens are important, kids. Bring the correct tokens.
Yes.
No one knows what that was. Those are upside down planes. I guess maybe Black Sun's Xenos won't do it either. I can't see that.
Well, he laid a lance. He'd be able to Black Sun for 5. But,
Stop it on 5.
Would it really get you out of the jam? I mean,
Well,
Devil Curse.
it's fun. Win or lose, it's fun. I think he's got a dead weight. He's trying to see if he can kill something. He's going to kill the... that was a Golem token, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But Maxx has got 12 power on board. And
I think I would have...
no, he's got 9 power on board and 1 more coming out of the Mimic Vat. Huntmaster off the top.
Now, do you sacrifice to Mimic Vat? Or is it exile?
It exiles the card from the graveyard, but when you trade out the card that's under the vat, the other card goes back into the graveyard.
Now, what at the end of the turn? When you bring the card in, you tap the mimic pad, it brings the token copy. What happens to it? Does it sack or exile?
I think it exiles. I think it removes it from the game.
All right, because I feel that would be ridiculously broken.
No. It goes to the graveyard. No, I think it dies. Destroy? I don't know. Through the powers of technology. Let's take a look. Isn't that the Gatherer site?
I believe so.
Gather? There's something in the water tonight, man. Oh, come on. Let's just go to Star City. Somehow I brought up Air Church. I never said I was good at this. Indirect sponsorship by Star City Games. Because I can't type the word gatherer. It says, put a token on the battlefield that's a copy of the exiled card. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. So you're correct.
Alright, because
it would not make the tokens.
With all the dying effects as well, that's just too much value. Too much value for a $1.50 card.
Just because it's $1.50 doesn't mean it's worth infinitely more. No. So that only triggers when it goes to the graveyard.
Yeah.
So I was incredibly wrong about the what I felt was that's my Twitter feed. I would love to hear from everyone else.
It's true too, though. You do get a puppy. An orphan gets a puppy when you watch this Twitter stream.
I don't know. It's just a failed attempt at humor. How much time's left in the round, do you know?
I will go ask.
So Jordan, downtime. That can only mean one thing.
Alright, it's that time of the night again.
The one with the plugs is, this is the one that's the best. This is the one that has infinite typos on it. This stream, I mean, you can only do so much on the laptop's keyboard. This stream, if you're watching this stream on Twitch TV, you don't need to know this, but if by chance you're watching the archive footage,
Why didn't you come tell me I cheated?
What?
Why didn't you tell me I blatantly cheated?
I didn't realize you cheated.
I made 2 tokens off
Maxx Turner is now here. Yeah, we just looked that up.
I didn't realize it exiled.
Previous to looking it up, I thought it worked the way that it did.
Well, now we know that I'm a dirty cheater.
Let me just get back to this real quick. If you're watching the stream on Twitch, then obviously you don't need to know where the site is. But for those of you that happen to on this through YouTube or some other means, this is streaming live on Twitch TV/ZachSellsMagic. The archive footage will go up after the fact on YouTube. The stream footage will go up on Zach Sells Magic with 2 L's, if I could spell. And Jordan's also recorded some footage independent of this that he's posting at Lost Legion, not Lostian Legion videos, just Lost, then Legion videos. Twitch TV also archives the stream footage, so you can watch it there, or you can watch it on YouTube. Comment, favorite, send to your friends as deemed necessary.
I'm gonna watch it over and over.
Maxx Turner now in the booth. No studio cam as of yet because Joe Lewis showed up way too late with the cam. Let me ask you this question.
Sure,
Max.
sure.
Game 1. Now, no one. I could check right now and slow down my computer and possibly crash it and look and see how many people are watching this live on the internet. I'm going to guess about 0. So it doesn't really
Because
matter.
of my game
But
1.
some people are going to watch this at some point, and they're going to realize you sat down on this quote-unquote feature match. You're very pumped, I could tell. We've been talking about this conceptually. I know you're very excited about this.
I am.
And you shuffled your deck, let your opponent cut it, ripped off the top 7 cards, and saw one lonely Razor Verge thicket. What goes through a man's head in that situation?
Dad, I'm going to draw a second land and go off.
And in fact, you went 4 turns, I believe, before you got to the second man.
Dan, if you remember correctly, I told you I was back in it.
Yes, and then you probably lost to literally every copy of Bloodseeker in your opponent's deck at one time.
It's really bad when my Thragtusk gains me a life.
I liked
And
it.
then he untaps and Victim of the Nights it to kill me.
What was very fun is that there was a point at which I was keeping track of the life totals. There was a point at which if you cast any creature, you would have died.
Yep.
And that is always a great situation to be in, where literally you cannot cast a creature without dying.
I'll tell you, the first one was scary, and I thought about blocking it when I traded with the 3-1 lifelinker, but I didn't think it was a big deal. The second one came down, I was a little nervous. The third one really made me, like, on my back foot. And honestly, when he played the fourth one, I knew I was dead unless I found an Elish Norton, which I conveniently had in my hand, but only had 6 lands. So...
Bloodseeker was the MVP of that match, I'd like to say, or the round.
Happens to the best of us, I think.
It does.
Joseph, how much time was left in the round?
11 minutes when I checked, probably about 9 to 8.
Well, we're going to take a brief break, unless Max, you would like to impart on us any other Magic Pro plays.
Oh, okay, my favorite plays.
Well, I mean, you've already
Like
taught
where
us
I cheated?
you've already told us the joys of cheating,
Yeah.
the joys of keeping unkeepable one-lane hands. I was just curious if there's anything else you want to impart to our literal no viewers who are not watching this currently.
I believe that Flare the Hatebound and Restoration Angel have 0 place in my pod deck.
We were talking about Flare the Hatebound earlier. I was not a fan. Joe Lewis did spend 10 minutes explaining to me why it is a good card.
It's great in my
And after that
price.
dissertation, though I appreciate it, I still don't think that card's any good.
Right, I've cited it out.
You know what's better than Flare the Hatebound? Literally any of the other 8
Like, if
drops
we're gonna
in... If we're in Dredge, if I'm playing Lion's Eye Diamond Legacy Dredge, I can find you a spot for one Flare the Hatebound.
Yep. I mean, I completely understand it in frights, I guess. Like, I see where you're coming from. But I've cited it, Restoration Angel, and at least the Zealous Consecrate.
We talked about this earlier, and you can chime in on this as well.
Sure.
Not to use too much Magic jargon, but is Flare the Hatebound in the Frights deck simply a win more card?
Well, technically, since we're on Magic Stream, jargon's perfectly acceptable.
It's acceptable
So,
on someone else's
I
Magic
think- I
Stream,
think
but
it
on my
is.
Magic Stream, we're not going to talk about,
We're shooting for second
oh,
grade.
that's so meta. Sam Hanna used the word dirtle earlier, and I
Did he?
chastised him.
I kind of think Dirtle's kind of entertaining. Like me, like I have
You're
my
what-
thumb in
you're-
my butt.
You're
I
on
kept it
you're
my
on
hand.
thin ice. Now you're working kind of blue. This is just going to crap.
Well,
And on that note, with just a few minutes left in the round, we're going to take a brief break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes with round 4, the winning in round.
yeah, no, I got to win it.
You do have to win it. We have to find someone who will not object to being on camera like they did last time. Like we said, we're only 4 rounds tonight, so this is the winning in round. Then we'll cut to top 8.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
I want
All
to
right.
get top 8.
Well, best of luck to you, Max. Joseph, best of luck to you in your 1 and 2 saving face. Get back to even match. Jordan, good luck to you. And I don't know.
Life.
Good luck to myself.
Hoping to pack something good in this from the Vault Realms.
The American Dream. Good luck to West Virginia Mountaineers. And stop.